Folks, welcome into SportsbookReview.com. It's time to talk NFL action Week 7 right here on SportsbookReview.com's opening line show. Got an interesting week, and just because we had a doubleheader on Monday night action, you got to get ready and keep the chains moving here into Week 7. Fun, action-packed show today. I'm Donnie Seymour, my co-host Kyle Purviance, and also backed by popular demand, Larry from WagerWeb. Let's get after it today, boys. Kyle, interesting week coming up here. My Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't know. Look, my legs feel good. I'm trained and ready. I can still catch the football. There might be an angle for me to try to get into this game Thursday night and play for my Philadelphia Eagles with all the injuries. Good week in Week 7, Kyle. Are you ready? Come on now, right?
I'm ready, and I'm excited to have the people's champion, Larry, back with us. That makes everyone happy around here. And yeah, I mean, you could probably get open against that Giant secondary too. James Bradbury looks terrible. So, hey, you might be able to get out there, run a couple 7 routes, and then do your best Julio Jones impression and get off the field as soon as you get hurt. But no, I'm excited for Week 7. Some good spots, it looks like, earlier in the week. Of course, we're always apprehensive with every week. Got to make sure everything goes smoothly throughout the week, practice reports and testing and all that stuff. But excited for Week 7. Shake off the cobwebs from Week 6 and the doubleheader last night. Ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing that didn't go smoothly for me was my Pick 6 contest. Looked in great shape until last night, but that's for another story a little bit later in the show today. First things first, guys, you supported us, and it's fantastic stuff. 71,500 subscribers have now gone on. Push that subscribe button. Turn your notification bell on, and each and every time we come on to talk some NFL football, you guys show up in the chat box here. Casey, Eno, MHP, Omar, Prince of the City, Sean, welcome in. We're going to have some fun today. And again, Larry from WagerWeb here to join us. And I got to say, before we get into our stock questions that we have, it's Tua time on South Beach. How about this move by your Miami Dolphins?
Absolutely. Was unexpected. We didn't think it was going to happen this soon, but we're looking forward to it. I was saying before, Greasy first, Marino second. It's been a long dry spell for Dolphin fans. So hopefully Tua has a week to get ready, and I'm hoping that he makes a good start, and the Dolphins have their quarterback of the future starting in a couple of weeks.
It's interesting, Kyle. It's interesting stuff, too, because when, it was kind of an odd announcement. We saw Tua come into the game late, like, hey, look at a rookie quarterback. Give the home fans something to cheer about. 24-0 against the Jets. It's a blowout. Let him get some berm. Then we saw him sitting on the field. And out of nowhere, I saw I was sitting on Twitter. I saw the Adam Schefter tweet show up, but the picture didn't show up yet. I'm like, what is Adam Schefter tweeting here? It's about time and ready to go. And there it was. It pops up Tua as the starter. We'll talk about that a little bit later, Kyle, but just the first analysis of the Miami Dolphins moving on. You're letting the young kid get after it here for those Dolphins.
It was a bit surprising to me. They're playing so well. They're 1 game out in the division. They've blown out their last 2 opponents, 67-13 or some, extraordinary number like that. Fitzpatrick's been playing well, but, I mean, he knew the gig, and it seems like he's really supportive of it. And then, they're going to play a Rams team who can get after the quarterback, especially up the middle. So maybe that athleticism on the outside is something they've been looking for. And they've sort of talked about, we wanted to wait a year for his injury to heal. Apparently, they like what they see in practice. They liked what they saw in limited fashion there on Sunday against the Jets. I'm excited. I have a soft spot for left-handed quarterbacks, so I'm ready to rock and roll with Tua.
Larry, me and Kyle talk all week long, go over the games. We polish it up on Sunday, and there's some things that, hey, we're on tape, so we would like to take back. And the first things I want to talk about are the big public sides that actually pulled off victories here. We're taking a look at Minnesota going up against Atlanta. Atlanta quit on their head coach, and all of a sudden looked like a Super Bowl team on Sunday. Then you take a look at the Rams coming in hot as can be versus the 49ers, a mass unit, heavily bet side. No way. I love the Rams -3. And then we take a look at Green Bay. There's no way. Look, didn't you see Tom Brady just lose out there on the field of the Chicago Bears? No way they take on Green Bay and win. The NFL is unto its own on, I don't want to talk about upsets, but just public sides. And the theory goes is true, Larry. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. Absolutely. And it's fun to watch. Yeah,
absolutely. And who thought the Falcons were going to score 40 points, 10 a quarter? That was unexpected. And, those are the games that you look at. All the money was on Green Bay. And then, when's the last time you saw Rodgers throw a pick 6? Last time it was Brady that threw the pick 6. So Rodgers throws a pick 6. I think they were scoreless for 3 quarters. Who expected that? So it's crazy. It's really crazy. But some of those, that one game there, that Packer game was a good game for us.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. I got lucky on that one. Luckily, I had Tampa Bay, but it was weird because it was 10-0. Everything was going Green Bay's way, and then that one play really seemed to turn the tide, and then Tampa Bay took over there. Another couple of games from this week, you're looking at that Eagles-Baltimore game, and all the Baltimore bettors like, hey, we are cashing this. We're rocking and rolling. And then you had the Houston side rocking with Tennessee, and then you had the unusual decision by Romeo Crennel to go for 2 and try to ice that game up. That's in the NFL. It's never over till it's over. What's going through your mind when things like that happen? And are you rooting for one side or the other there, or is it just?
You know what it is? It's a bad thing to look to see what you need, because then come Sunday, you're just going nuts. You're just trying to figure out what's going on. And you look at, the Texans, they miss a point after, and they missed a 2-point conversion. That could have been a different game. Even though, they took the Titans to, no one expected them to score what they did on the Titans. But, when you know certain games and you know that the book needs a certain team, it drives you nuts, man. My family just leaves me alone and lets me look at the scores, and I freak out. It has nothing to, it's not me personally. It's the business. You want to protect the book. And that Green Bay game, that's a nice thing when you see something like that and you say, oh, wow, this is great. We needed this, and it turned out to be just what it was, and, Texas meaning, not going for that 2-point conversion, not hitting it, missing a point after touchdown. That game could have been differently also.
What's funny about that too, Larry? You look at the games, and just as gamblers, like forget about handicappers, books, or whoever side you're on. Let's just say you have money on the game and you're watching I'm an Eagles fan. I'm watching the Baltimore game, and I told Kyle on our pregame show, hey, I think the Eagles will fight hard, and I think they'll be able to cover the spread. I'm looking at this going, cover the spread after 15. Like, are they going to get first downs? Like, 6 out of 7 of their first drives, they didn't even get 3 and outs and a fumble on the other one. I'm saying, how can this happen? And then you see Zach Ertz go down, Miles Sanders goes down. In the fourth quarter, the Eagles put up 22 points, not only get the cover, but almost push for an outright victory. And then we talk about the Tennessee game, -3. A lot of people got in on that game, let's just say early in the week with Houston 3.5. You're up 7 late in the game going, I got this. Because you know what? I don't think they're going to score with a minute left, which they do with like 4 seconds to go. And then they go to overtime. Just win the kick. Win the coin toss. Go 3 and out, punt the football back, and Tennessee kicks a field goal for the win, and you got that. And you end up losing those sides. As a gambler, it's maddening. And they do say it when you watch the red zone. The witching hour is fantastic, because when you think money is in your back pocket, Larry, it just disappears.
And if someone comes and just pulls it right out, that's the worst feeling. And I mean, the Eagles look great in the second half. If you took the Eagles in the second half, you made a little bit of money. I mean, who expected that? And the Ravens defense, and it's nuts. And we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. You guys were saying about the totals being higher than usual, and how do the books react to that? Well, this past week, we had quite a few in the low 40s. And even with those in the low 40s, if you took the unders last week, 10 out of 14 went under. And some of those were 44s, 43s. And, you look at even the Dolphins, even with these crazy 10-point teasers that people do, the Dolphins saved our ass. So did the Patriots. Because you had a lot of people like to do those 10, 15 team teasers, 10 points, and the ones that lost were the Dolphins and the Patriots. They even with the 10 points, it's 24. It was 37 with the teaser. So we're starting to see first couple of weeks we had a lot of high scores. Now we're seeing totals coming in a little lower, not so much in the 50s. And 10 out of 14 went under this week. So hope maybe next week we see a different change. But this week was the week of the unders, man. It was crazy.
Absolutely. Looking at Thursday Night Football, too, as from a book's perspective, you always like the standalone game, and it almost doesn't matter, Larry, who's even matched up, because you can't get two, worst teams record-wise in a standalone game on a Thursday night, but you will get heavy betting action because it's what we do in the NFL, particularly as sports bettors. But take a look at the mass unit and getting a look from your perspective, meaning there's so many players injured on both sides of the football for the Philadelphia Eagles and also the New York Giants, setting a line, getting the correct spreads, because me and Kyle were talking yesterday on the NFL show saying it opens up 6.5, crashes down to 3.5. Now it's coming back to 4, but they don't really practice on the short week. You're getting the estimates of who might be in and out. You really don't know until an hour and a half before game time. Talk about from your perspective, from a book angle, maybe looking at these lines and saying, boy, we're going to get a lot of action here. And this line can go anywhere between 6 to 3 and bounce back and forth depending on who's playing. It's definitely an interesting look here.
Yeah, it opened up at what you said. WagerWeb, we have it at 43 right now, as of like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And you're looking at two teams that, believe it or not, the winner with 2 wins is tied for first place in the NFC East.
Crazy.
So it's people are going to go for that type of action, and you're telling yourself, here are Giants are last in the NFL in offense, and they don't have this win. If Rivera goes for the tie, who knows how it could have turned out in overtime. But to be in this week and looking at two teams that with 2 wins are tied for first place, and right now it's even. We're looking at even money on both sides right now. But like you said, come tomorrow, the next day, it's going to start. It could go either way. Right now, it's holding at 43 on the total, and I think, like you said, it is going to change significantly in the next couple of days.
Yeah, a lot of injury information coming out too. Maybe Deshaun Jackson's back for the Eagles, Alshon Jeffrey, et cetera. And I know a lot of Giants backers were not happy about that 2-point conversion attempt by Ron Rivera. Leaving that as
Skins backers were very happy with that move.
Skins backers very, very happy with that decision. So looking forward to this weekend. Just some big spots on the card. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Vegas Raiders game on Sunday night looks like it's going to be a big spot. What are some other big spots you're looking at from a book's perspective this week?
Well, the Steelers Titans is going to be a big game for us, and I need Titan fans because a lot of the money right now is on the Steelers. It's at 2 and it's still holding at 52 here. And the other one is, like you said, Tampa, Las Vegas. I mean, you got Tampa defense allowing 282 yards a game, and then you have Las Vegas averaging 30 points a game. So that's going to be a game that's going to show a lot of interest. We're on Tuesday right now. It's still holding at 3, and the total is still at 53. And I like the Bills and the Jets. We're seeing a lot of action on the Bills, a lot of action on the Bills. I think people, after what they did last night, I don't think anybody expects them to play any worse than they did. And against the Jets, I think right now I would say 80% of the action's on the Bills right now. No Jet fans coming in this early in the week, but I like those games. I like the Bills and the Jets. I think the Bills are going to bounce back, and I think they're going to have a big game. But man, nothing like Steelers and Titans, man, 2 undefeated teams.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great game. And also, you talk about taking a look at the New York Jets, because also from a book perspective, sometimes you just can't even hang a number that makes enough sense to back the New York Jets. And it's one of those things that we always watch and try to peel through. If Joe Flacco goes back out there again, I mean, you watch it as a Dolphins fan, it was one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen from a quarterback who literally looked like he didn't want to be there, and his only objective was to come out of the game alive so he could walk home or walk back to the bus. If he gets a start against the Buffalo Bills, I don't even know what's going to happen. But Larry, here's what we like. We love having you on as a guest. We know what the book wants to see this weekend. Your Dolphins are on a bye week before it's Tua time, getting back versus the Los Angeles Rams. What games are Larry watching this weekend and be interested in maybe betting on?
Look, as long as the Jets lose, the Patriots lose, everybody loses in that division, I'm a happy guy. I like Vegas and Tampa. I think that's going to be a great game. And like I said, it's even action right now. As a fan, I'm looking forward to that game. I'm looking forward to also the Steelers and Titans game. And from a book's perspective, look, last week, a lot of money was on the Jets, believe it or not. When the Jets played the Dolphins, man, 9.5 points, everybody was on the Jets last week. And, Dolphins scored 24 and get the job done. So now this week, we're looking at a lot of action on the Steelers and the Titans. I think that's going to be the top one of the top games that we're going to see this week.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that Titans-Pittsburgh game. You sort of mentioned the Jets. What would the book do if they were playing Clemson, right? Wouldn't the Jets just be underdogs against Clemson right now with Joe Flacco quarterback?
Clemson took care of my Hurricanes, too. So
no, they did.
I would like to see a line with Clemson and the Jets. I really would.
I mean, was it going to be -2.5 maybe would they give the Jets the NFL bump? It's hard to say, but
just to think that Flacco was a Super Bowl quarterback not too long ago, but he had a fantastic defense. The offense at the time wasn't the best, but they won, and they won the Super Bowl. Man, they just have nobody right now. They just have nobody, and
it's bad.
I mean, to go back there, he looked really, it looked really sad. The way he was playing, he just didn't, he couldn't get anything done right. And I mean, Jet fans have to be pulling their hairs out right now, and Giants fan the same way. So, I think, you're going to see a little bit of action right now. We have the line at 13.5. for the Buffalo Jets game. And that opened up at 10. So you're going to see a lot of action. I don't expect the Jets to win, but I don't even know if they're going to be able to cover. But, that's one of the games that you look at, if you have to. But I'll stick with Tampa, Las Vegas, and Steelers and Titans next week.
Good stuff here, Larry. It always goes quickly, our time with us here, but we remiss here not to give you an effort. What's going on with WagerWeb? What can we expect? Some bonuses and what to look forward to there.
Guys, I appreciate the time. You guys are two true gentlemen for letting me come on. Hey, listen, at WagerWeb, we always have those 10% to 100% cash bonus on every deposit that you make. You pick the bonus that suits your needs. And we also have a weekly NFL football contest that's free. And the payouts are $2,500 a week. So go check out the NFL football contest, check out our bonuses, and we'll take good care of you guys.
Larry, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. I'm sure we'll have you on as a guest a little bit later in the season as well. Always fun to talk to Larry. So, guys, go check out WagerWeb. And certainly, Larry, once again, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with your picks this week.
Thank you, brother.
There we go. Larry from WagerWeb coming in. Love it. I love talking about these sides and these angles and stuff like that, getting the perspective. Yeah. And Larry's just a good guy that's going to come on and talk some football with us. So it's always enjoyable to get on. So certainly go check out WagerWeb. But we got some action to start with here, Kyle. Winners of Week 6 and losers of Week 6. I'm going to start with you first. And maybe I can just preface this by saying maybe a loser of the week doesn't have to be an actual team, even though if it is a team, if that makes sense. But more importantly, maybe it's a coach. I don't know.
Oh, boy. It's odd. And I mean, you knew I was going here. And it's Mike McCarthy. And how many times can I say Mike McCarthy is a low IQ football coach? And you see the tweets coming out today, and there's, some upset players in the locker room talking about he can't adjust on the fly. They don't know how to coach. I've been preaching it for years. So it's a big lot. Like the Dallas Cowboys are in disarray. Now, luckily for them, they're in the NFC least. So, you can win 5 games probably in that division and compete for first place this year. It's going to be, it's going to be ugly in that division. But if you're Mike McCarthy, you're not happy what's coming out of the news outlets today. And that's a big loss for them. And, of course, it was a bad loss for the Minnesota Vikings, sort of trying to salvage their season after a slow start. They looked good against Seattle. Then you go in and you get absolutely trounced at home. Kirk Cousins is turning the ball over more than Daniel Jones is turning the ball over, for Christ's sake. And I know Carson Wentz is on that list, but it's a much different scenario. That's a healthy Vikings team with all of his weapons, while Carson Wentz is out here, throwing to you and I out there. So really, really bad look for the Minnesota Vikings. I think another winner was just Seattle. A week off, get healthy. Your biggest rival in the division right now, the Rams, gets beat by the 49ers, so it kind of knocks everyone back. I know Arizona won, but still, everyone else in the division has at least 2 losses. And you're sitting there, at 5-0, just watching everyone beat each other up. So that's some of the stuff I looked at this week.
Yeah, losers for me by far. Jets as an overall organization. It's just embarrassing where you're putting out that type of product in an NFL environment. I know you're waiting for Sam Darnold to come back and get to next year where you can open up some cap space, but that's an embarrassing franchise. And also another embarrassing performance from a 4-2 football team now after a loss was the Cleveland Browns. It's not so much they say, well, hey, they're 4-2. What more did you expect out of the Cleveland Browns? You got one of those step-up games against Big Brother that you were talking a lot of smack heading in that game, and I thought the Cleveland Browns would be able to perform in that game. They were outclassed from the opening kickoff and made it feel like the same old Browns, regardless of coaching change, player change, or whatever changes you might have. They still sit 4-2, which is exactly probably where you would hope they'd be if you think they would have a good football season. I agree. But getting that step-up game, I would feel a lot better if that game ended up 24-23, 24-20, 24-17 and show some fight. They were out of that game from the beginning. A complete blowout, wire-to-wire win by those Pittsburgh Steelers. I was impressed by that. Talking about winners of the week, going back to a game where I had losers of the week, the Jets, the Miami Dolphins. Love what the organization is doing. Their stroke of genius here, not starting Tua early in the season with too many expectations, getting him some playing time so he doesn't have to come under those big spotlights now. Oh, my God, first start, first NFL action. You put him in against the Jets, so he got his feet wet in that game. And also, you're 3-3 coming out of the bye. So not only do you get that extra bonus there, Kyle, you actually have a team that's technically thinking it can make a playoff run. Let your young quarterback get a taste of that so he gets that experience. How many times do you see, Kyle, during the season, like, hey, we're going to hand it off to our rookie quarterback. We're 1-7. Let's see what he can do out here. I mean, there's no pressure. Now you put him in a nice pressure environment where he's expected to play well. Ryan Fitzpatrick, being the good teammate that he is, knows he's not the future of the franchise. He's making good money. Hand the reins over. Work another 5 years as the backup quarterback in Miami with Tua and get paid. He's the perfect teammate for this. My real winner of the week, the Miami Dolphins overall, Kyle, as an organization, I was expected. Now, I always like to shift it over a little bit here because I like to say I can run the show a little bit. So the Philadelphia Eagles are always a topic of conversation. I don't know what else more can happen. I've never seen it in my life. They fired their complete medical staff last year because they get injured every year. Now they're even more injured than they were last year when they fired their entire medical staff for being injured. Down roughly 9 starters on offense coming into this game. The only 2 guys left, Jason Kelce, the center, and the quarterback, Carson Wentz. Everybody else is out, including multiple positions at tackle and guard. It's absolutely astounding that they're still standing upright and able to play a football game. How much more can one team take? Because I know you're a 49ers fan, and they are getting hit with an injury bug, but I've never seen it to this extent on one team specifically, on one side of the ball where nobody can seemingly complete a game here.
Yeah, they desperately need Jeffrey or Jackson, just one of them to come back this week. No Miles Sanders now, no Zach Ertz. I mean, it's Boston Scott and Richard Rodgers and John Hightower.
Baby. Jason Kroom.
These are the weapons.
Jason Kroom, yeah.
Kroom and Travis Fulgham, who's probably going to continue to see the field even when these guys come back. He's actually been pretty good. But my God, and what about, I think the effort of the Eagles shows a lot about Carson Wentz. It shows a lot about Doug Peterson and that coaching staff. But it's bad. I mean, and they're still favored against the Giants. That shows you how bad that division is. They're playing a divisional rival basically for first place in the division this week on Thursday Night Football, and they're favored with literally nobody. I mean, they're throwing to practice squad players who wouldn't even make the roster on other teams. That's who Carson Wentz has to throw to. Who's going to block for them? You mentioned all the offensive line injuries. I feel really bad for Wentz and the Eagles, but the good news is they could still win the division.
Yeah, favorite at home on Thursday Night Football. This is the biggest 3 games of the Eagles season. The Giants, Cowboys, then they get a bye and play the Giants again, so maybe they get some guys back. But they have to run the table. They have to go 3-0 against these divisional opponents, or they literally have no chance to win pretty much outside of division. Having said that, I don't know if the NFC East, the Eagles are the only team that's beat a team outside of the division when they beat the 49ers. There could be a really good chance that that's the only win that an NFC East team gets outside of the division. I don't know if that's ever happened before. If a division went winless, I doubt it. But that's a really good possibility of being on the horizon here. Now, taking a look at, bouncing back me as an Eagles fan, the only thing I wish here, I wish Eli Manning was still the Giants quarterback on Thursday, because then it's an auto win for the Philadelphia Eagles. The fact that Daniel Jones is playing, now I get a little bit nervous, but ever we saw Eli under center, it's an auto win. We always beat up little brother up there in North Jersey. But anyway, that's for another day. We'll sharpen those pencils, as we like to say, on Thursday Night Football, and certainly talk more about the Giants-Eagles mash units and see who's actually playing in that football game. But here's the conversation. Before we start that roll down of hitting some of the games, the 2-point conversion in the NFL, when it's used correctly to me, Kyle, and when it's used completely disregard for any hope for your team of winning a football game. Case in point, the Philadelphia Eagles in the third quarter, you score a touchdown down 17-0. What the hell is Doug Peterson doing going for a 2-point conversion when you could have just simply made it a 10-point game? And late in the game, you're going for 2 because you were chasing points in the third quarter for apparently no reason whatsoever. 17-0, score a touchdown, make it 17-7, and give yourself a chance. They go for 2, don't get it, and it was an uphill climb the rest of the way. Now, case number 2 for using the 2-point conversion the correct way, Romeo Crennel and the Houston Texans. Going for 2 points with under 2 minutes to go, you get 2 yards with Deshaun Watson, you win the football game. If you don't get the 2 yards, you lose. If you kick the extra point to make it 8, guess what? You still lose. Do we really think, hey, make them drive the length of the field for the Titans to see if they can score? Check. Hey, let's see if they can get a 2-point conversion. I just saw the Titans get a 2-point conversion. Check. If we go to overtime, we still have a chance to win. No, you don't. You're not stopping a team that gained over 600 yards on your defense. Romeo Crennel, the absolutely 1,000% chance of going for 2 to win was the right move, and it played out exactly the way it should have. They didn't get it, and they lost. That's the only way to play it. Your thoughts here on the 2-point conversion, Kyle?
I absolutely agree. Now, the 2-point conversion is frustrating as hell now for us bettors, right? It's really changed the 3s and the 7s. Now you've got the 6s, and the analytics that's sort of what it's done to us. Thanks a lot, Moneyball, but that's what it's done to us. Another example of I think the 2-point conversion being used in the right way. I thought it was the right call for Ron Rivera to go for the win. Your team stinks. You have no talent. You have a young quarterback. So, hey, maybe you get a little bit of confidence. He told him, he even said afterwards, hey, I go for the win. I'm a gambler. I'm Riverboat Ron, and that's what we're going to do. Staying true to your personality, going for a win. Now, look, if this was the NFC Championship game and you did something like that, sure, eyes might roll a little bit. But when you have a young team like that who stinks and you need some confidence and you want to win, hey, that win would have put them, tied for first place in the division, right? They'd be playing for outright first against Dallas this week. So I like the call there, but it has frustrated things from a sports betting perspective, absolutely, because it just changes the whole dynamic of everything. You think you have a cover. It's kind of the same with the missed extra point. Just put the extra point back, to 20 yards, Harrison Butker almost cost us all last night, or certainly almost cost me last night with that mixed extra point. So it certainly frustrated things. It's made more numbers valuable. 6s and 8s and 5s and 4s are now more valuable than they used to be than the historic, 3s, 7s, and 10s. So it's definitely interesting. I mean, I like it. I enjoy it as a fan, but I hate it as a sports bettor. It frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah, and even getting back to the 2-point conversion in that Tennessee Titans game, and they should have kicked the extra point. Did you not watch early in the game when the Texans already missed an extra point anyway? I mean, my goodness, 2-point conversion, get it done. But you're right. I wish they would just take the extra point out completely, go for 2 to get 2 points. If you don't get it, you just go back to 6 points. And this madness of worrying about kicking the extra point from, 37 yards away. Pick 6 contest update. I had a really nice run going, and I ruined it going 2-4. And it was mainly because yesterday I was dumb enough to take the 2 home teams, which I thought were sharp positions with the Buffalo Bills and the Dallas Cowboys. They both got wrecked, bang, bang. And thank goodness it wasn't real money and just a contest, but I ended up going 2-4. How was your pick 6 this weekend there, Kyle?
I went 3-3 for the second straight
better
week.
Than me.
Little frustrated by it. I needed that over in that Carolina-Chicago game, and it was close. Just didn't quite get there on that last drive with that Bridgewater pick. But I had Arizona, so that was nice last week to get me to 3-3. So that was the one that decided it. The Vikings, of course, burned me a little bit, and then I bet against my Niners, and the Rams choke, so I was happy to lose that one. So 3-3, not all that upset about it. 3 or 4 games over 500 right now. Not going to complain too much. And it's a lot of fun. You guys should go and check it out. You may not be able to win the whole season-long prize, but the weekly prizes are there, and it's just like a nice way to kind of put your bets in there and have a little bit of fun, right? Compete against us, sbrpicks.com/pick6. Is that right? Something like that.
Absolutely not. But I like the promo. We can go ahead with that. So go ahead, keep going. URLs, check that again. Just click the link. Even though, regardless of what Kyle said, just click the link below to get you there. sbrpicks.com/NFL. Maybe Pick 6 is on there. Hey, why not? Let's get it started. Yeah, just click on the Pick 6 contest. You'll get there somewhere. But a lot of fun. Kyle is right, though. You can't win probably the season by just getting it now, but absolutely get it on the weekly contest. It's a lot of fun keeping track, and one of those things where just another thing to add on for your Sunday to track and watch and have some fun with. Now let's get to the card. Got about a half hour left in the show to spin through these games, and we do it each and every week on Tuesday, setting it up, getting the initial thoughts out. Everybody's injured in the NFL. We don't really know who's playing in a lot of these games, but you can use the conjecture if you're looking at jumping lines, which I haven't done all that much this year. I usually finalize my cards, late Thursday night, early Friday, Saturday, and even on Sunday, trying to get an advantage on who's actually in, who's actually out, because I don't want to be left holding the bag saying, hey, man, I beat the line. Oh, goodness, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play. So my 4 doesn't look so good right now, even though I, quote unquote, jumped the line. Let's take a look. Thursday Night Football, mass unit game, interesting line movement, as high as 6.5. We're now seeing 4s across the board for the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. The problem I have is I do think the Eagles still are a better football team, because when you have the better quarterback, it usually lends to victory. But the issue here that we have, Kyle, is we've seen the Philadelphia Eagles perform well. Big underdog role against the 49ers, win outright. Big underdog role against the Pittsburgh Steelers, have that cover. And if it wasn't for like a 3rd and 20 conversion, which I actually liked by Chase Claypool, you would have covered that game. They almost won the game, had a chance to take the lead on the late field goal. Now, flipping it over to last week with the Eagles, getting busted, but getting 10 points. They end up covering that game, only losing by 2. Now you flip the script with the Philadelphia Eagles and you put them as a favorite, which means, hey, guys, let's have a moral victory and hang around and cover. That's not the case. You got to win this football game by presumably a touchdown here in order to cash this ticket in. That's what my issue is going to be this week with the Philadelphia Eagles. Not winning the game, but winning convincingly and getting the cover.
Yeah, I think they could win a close game. And really, the matchup is, can that Giants offense move the ball against that Eagles defense? Luckily for the Eagles, their defense is pretty healthy. They can get after the quarterback. They can defend on the back end. In the secondary, the Giants don't necessarily have world beaters back there. Tate and Slayton and, Evan Ingram. They're okay.
Might come back this week, so they might get a little boost at wide receiver.
Yeah, and a boost here. So I still think I'm with you. I think the Eagles are the better team. I think Carson Wentz is the best player on the field in that game. And I don't think the Eagles quit. They just seem to want it. Even when they lose, they play hard. They fight hard. They're going to fight for your dollar, as we sometimes say in the MMA betting world. So I early on, I like the Eagles. If Jeffrey and Jackson come back, I'm going to like them even more. Just nothing to believe in with the Giants. I have seen nothing impressive out of the New York Giants. I know they won last week, barely, against Kyle Allen and, whatever is left of the Washington football team. So right now I'm leaning the Eagles. I just think they try harder. They're better coached, obviously. Joe Judge is a dumpster fire of a coach so far in New York. So right now I'm leaning the Eagles. Let's see how healthy they can get by Thursday.
Yeah, it would feel a lot better if Miles Sanders was in this game because you saw back-to-back weeks against really good defenses. One, he didn't get the touchdown for, fumbled it into the end zone when he got tackled about the 3 or 4 yard line, and Arcega-Whiteside ended up scoring that touchdown. But it's nice to have a running back that can go 70 at any time and try to loosen up those offensive reins versus a defense. Now, the Giants, not much talent either, but again, it's a battle of attrition here. Who has more weapons? I mean, if you gave Carson Wentz the weapons that the Giants have, if Sterling Shepard comes out, they probably blow the Giants off the field by 21 points. But he didn't have anything. You know what I mean? So you're asking Carson Wentz to go out and win a football game all by himself when the previous couple of weeks you're looking at getting up to 10 points with the Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll sharpen our pencils again, as I like to say, on Thursday Night Football for Thursday's show. Let's move it over to Sunday. Cleveland really looking for a bounce-back effort. Baker Mayfield bench saying it wasn't really performance. It's because he was hurt. Well, is he going to be healthy this week? I'll tell you right now. If I'm a professional athlete and I see the Cincinnati Bengals defense, I'm like, yo, coach, Monday morning, I can't even believe how good I feel Monday. You got to let me play this weekend because me and you, Kyle, you quarterback, me wide receiver, we hang 28 on Cincinnati. Look at the line opening up 3.5, staying at 3.5. Some threes coming across the board. Over-under opens up at 52, drops to 50 because we want to see the health status of not only Baker Mayfield, but also Jarvis Landry and also Odell Beckham Jr. Still a 4-2 club. You'll get an honest effort out of Cincinnati, but that defense is wretched. This might be a nice bounce-back spot for that offense just to go up and down the field on the Bengals.
Yeah, I like Cleveland early in the week. It's not like it's a true road game. They're traveling, interstate here. Everyone's going to be down on Cleveland after you mentioned just an embarrassing performance. I don't think Baker was healthy. He didn't seem to be healthy. He was worried about those ribs all week long, all game long. Jarvis Landry wasn't fully healthy. Odell Beckham had missed practice all week. And then Cincinnati comes out and jumps to a big lead on the Colts. Eventually succumb to the Colts in that offense. So everyone's going to be a little bit higher on Cincinnati and a little bit down on Cleveland. And I'm sort of with you. I think Cleveland bounces back. I think they get to 5-2. We saw this game just a few weeks ago on Thursday Night Football in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow did the backdoor cover on me early in the season and made me scared here. Now we're getting a nice number at 3.5. I think Cleveland wins this game by a touchdown.
Yeah, and Enno says in the chat box, if Dead Arm Rivers can overcome, 28 points, I believe, what were they down, like 21-0 in that game?
Yeah.
Mayfield should have a good day. That was my main call. I took the team total with 26.5 for Indy. 26.5. They can't get 26.5 in 3 weeks the way Rivers is playing. Trust me, there's two defenses in the NFL right now that you really want to get after. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Cincinnati. You can do whatever you want. And when you can run at 5 and 6 yards a clip against a defense, that play action pass like I was talking about for Phillip Rivers, it doesn't matter how long your arm strength is or how big your arm strength is. That team stinks on defense. We'll see if Baker Mayfield comes to play. Now, how about this game? NFC's battle. Battle as much as you can battle with two bad football teams. Dallas and Washington. I was really surprised last night. Not so much at the outcome where Arizona won the football game. It's how they won the football game. And it looks like the Dallas Cowboys as a team may have quit, because now you're hearing the chirping coming out to the media on a first-year head coach in Dallas saying, we are so underwhelmingly prepared every time we go out on the football field. That is a major alarm, because you still have a legitimate chance to win the division, even with Andy Dalton at quarterback, how bad this is. But the fact that your coach, and it's not a surprise, because if you listen to anything that happened to Mike McCarthy's last year in Green Bay, hey guys, we're getting ready to practice. Where's coach? He's in a meeting. No, coach was getting massages as opposed to going to practice. Is it any surprise that Mike McCarthy rode the coattails of Aaron Rodgers and, hey, Aaron, just make plays. You're a great quarterback. I'm going to look smart. Now he goes to town, looks like a smart guy because Dak Prescott's in there, but now he doesn't have that elite quarterback. They looked horrendous. But look at this line. Opens up as a favorite to the Cowboys at -2. It's a pick'em. Who would have thought 3 weeks ago Dallas would be a pick'em against the football team, Kyle?
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And I mean, I hate to say I told you so, but Mike McCarthy's a horrible coach.
Jesus.
And last night, let's not forget, it was Andy Dalton in primetime. Andy Dalton is a trash can on primetime. So, and you know, those 2 Zeke fumbles are kind of fluky. I'm still leaning the Cowboys here in the pick'em on the road. I just can't put money on the Washington football team. I simply can't do it. Now, that Dallas defense, you mentioned defenses who you can do anything against. Dallas is another one, obviously. I mean, Kenyon Drake had his coming out party. Christian Kirk. I mean, just it didn't matter who it was. They did whatever they wanted to that defense. Now, it's a Sunday morning game. That's more Andy Dalton's style. I do think Dallas is the more talented team here. I do think Andy Dalton is a better player than Kyle Allen with all those weapons. So I got to take Dallas early in the week, especially out of pick'em. But it's quite embarrassing for those Cowboys. Division leader. It's bad. They get stopped.
They got busted by 28, and the other quarterback had 9 completions.
Yeah.
Like, you got busted. They scored 38 points, and a quarterback had 9. Like, it's high school, right? You know, 9 completions for like 225 yards because you're playing against his JV squad out here. I was astounded to see that and really surprised to see the final statistics of how bad they got beat. But you're right. You're going up against Washington will fight hard. Washington's front seven should be able to get pressure against that awful Dallas offensive line, which looks like it's even just as much injured, if not more, than the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. It's just odd because it's one of those games, again, Kyle, we look at Dallas and like, wait a second here, wait. Zeke Elliott, unbelievable wide receivers. If Andy Dalton could stay upright and not have a 2-interception game, maybe just have 1 turnover, they should win. But then you look at games last night and go, you know what, they stink. And they're going on the road and they hate their head coach. We'll see what happens in that game. Let's keep going here. 457, 458, Detroit and Atlanta. Waking up both of these teams. Like the Undertaker meme, waking up out of the coffin. Matthew Stafford and, hey, everybody wakes up out of the coffin against the Jacksonville defense. They got healthy in that game, look good on offense. But how about Atlanta, which I can't figure this out. And I need to, like, somebody's got to sit down Julio Jones and say, bro, you couldn't even walk for 2 weeks, and you're out here stunting like it's 5 years ago, and you're dominating in the NFL. Because I know I didn't do it. A lot of people bet on the Minnesota Vikings in this game, knowing, and we joked, hey, Julio Jones, he'll come out and walk around for 3 plays. Yeah, coach, I can't go anymore. He looked like old Julio Jones, and this looked like the Atlanta team that was ready to go to Super Bowls. What the hell gives here?
Yeah, Atlanta's a team I cannot get right this year. I bet on Minnesota this weekend, and I mean Kirk Cousins just crapped all over my Sunday real quick with that. But you got to like Atlanta at home. It's hard to trust Detroit on the road. As they did go into Jacksonville last week and do what I expected them to do. I actually bet on Detroit as well, so that was really, really nice for me to sort of make up for that debacle. And I've been meaning to say to Jim Beam, good call on the Denver Broncos. I see you over there in the chat, and you did call that as I went on my glorified spiel. Trust me, I took the heat for it. Congratulations to you, and hey, you got to eat crow when you got to eat crow. But I do like the Atlanta Falcons at home. They're a streaky team. We sort of saw this with them last year. They were a terrible team. Then they started getting on a roll near the end of the year, won their last 4 or 5 games. They're sort of a streaky team, seem to have woke up a little bit, got rid of Dan Quinn. It was a really impressive performance on the road in Minnesota. I do like a lot of points in this game. That total, 56, 57. It's awfully high in the dome. I mean, it's a scary number to look at, but I do think there's points in this game. Right now, I got to lean Atlanta early in the week. My mind could change by Thursday, but right now, and I'll preface this again, I have gotten Atlanta wrong every single time this year. maybe this is the week I get it right. I like Atlanta over Detroit early on.
Talk about getting something wrong also when you take a look at a DFS angle. Alexander Mattison, the ultimate can't-miss guy of the week. It was absolutely a miss guy of the week. So, hey, don't count your little chickens there when Dalvin Cook goes out. And we're like, hey, man, we're going to be all right with this guy running back. Now, granted, he never really had a chance because they were down most of the way. But, my goodness, what an awful performance from a usually well-coached Mike Zimmer squad. They looked atrocious in that game. 461, 462. Carolina and New Orleans. Good little NFC South battle. Teddy Bridgewater and the boys trying to shake off a loss last week to the Chicago Bears, going up against the rested and ready New Orleans Saints, who will play in New Orleans, not in Baton Rouge, where LSU plays at Tiger Stadium, because they are fighting with the city about at least letting some people in the stadium, which for some reason they will not allow. Minus 7.5 across the board. 51s is a total. I look at this game now that Michael Thomas is back. You have all the parts you need on offense, because that little dink and dunk game that you like to use with Drew Brees now becomes ultra effective because the ultimate wide receiver is back. It doesn't matter if 3 guys are hanging on Michael Thomas. He's catching the football, and that opens it up for everybody else in the field. Emmanuel Sanders is going to love it. Traquan Smith's going to love it. Alvin Kamara, who everybody keys on, is now going to love this, because now you are going to have space to operate. Early in the week, I look at this game because, again, you're on turf. It's a faster surface. I think Carolina can score some points. I think New Orleans can score some points. The 7.5 I'm going to delve into, but I do think this game can get into the 50s here, Kyle, early on.
Yeah, that's the first thing that stood out to me is the total. I like the 51 and 51.5. Now, Carolina has let me down twice this year with the over, and once against Atlanta. So that's a little concerning for me. But you got Teddy Bridgewater coming back to New Orleans, facing his old team, whom we had a lot of success with last year, filling in for Drew Brees. You mentioned getting Michael Thomas back. Drew Brees at home, I probably sound like a broken record, but Drew Brees at home is an absolute different animal than he is on the road. So I like the Saints this week. I think the points will be there. The 7.5 scares me. I'm hoping some more public money comes in on Carolina and drops that line a little bit, because I'm not huge on the 7.5. That's a scenario where I might buy a point or a 1.5, get it to 6.5, or maybe even 6 now with all these. We mentioned the 2-point conversions and the damn missed extra point. So it makes everything scary now. Things that you thought you knew before, now you don't know a damn thing about it because of these damn 2-point conversions and onside kicks. But right now, I got to lean New Orleans at home. New Orleans at home, Drew Brees at home is a moneymaker. It has been for years, and I expect that to continue this weekend.
They should be able to get after that defense. And also, if you take a look last week, the Chicago Bears, the one thing that we talked about on the show was the explosiveness of the Bears offense. It's just not there, and it's functional, and it works well with their defense. But you're going to have to do, obviously, a little bit more to try to impress and sort of get after it, because New Orleans is a completely different offense than what the Chicago Bears present. You got some speed, you got some big playability. And again, you're going to go back in a dome and play on a fast track. 463, 464. Now, this game should be a rout and a runaway blowout. It's at 13.5, and the Buffalo Bills aren't even home. And the Buffalo Bills don't even look that good the past couple weeks. But yet they sit here at 14, or almost 14, and I completely agree with it. But here's what you want to watch from early in the week, because it looks like the Jets aren't going to fire Adam Gase, which I'm shocked by. But the fact that it looks like Joe Flacco is going to still be the starter says 2 things to me. Number one, the Jets really don't care about the season. And why should they at this point? They don't want to put Sam Darnold back until he's 110% healthy with that shoulder. Now, I preface this by saying, if Joe Flacco is the quarterback, they're going to get run in this game. They're going to get routed. And it's not about scoring touchdowns for the Jets. It's about just taking snaps and getting first downs. They do not have an explosive running game. They do have some capable wide receivers. And the reason why I'm trying to talk this game up is, for some reason, if Sam Darnold is healthy and ready to go when he feels good in this game, not to say the Jets are going to win this game or even stay within 14, but if you're looking at a total for this game, it's not a bad look, because the New York Jets, once they get a quarterback back, and you saw Sam Darnold, he can function and put up points, as you saw in that Denver Broncos game a couple weeks ago before he got hurt. Now, if he comes back in this game, you'd have Jamison Crowder, Rashad Perriman, and also it looks like the young rookie Denzel Mims, their draft pick, is going to give it a go this week. That's 3 legitimate wide receivers. And also, if he gets Mekhi Becton at left tackle, they should be able to move the football against the Buffalo Bills, which everybody moves the football. But if Joe Flacco plays, it doesn't matter who's at wide receiver, running back, or offensive line. They will lose the game and probably get shut out again, Kyle.
Yep, I completely agree. If Sam Darnold plays, I'm staying away from this game. I hate these 13.5-point spreads, 13-point spreads. Those are always a pass for me unless I can find a way to justify the underdog. And now we're talking about a 13.5-point underdog at home. It's just, You just don't see that very often. If Sam Darnold plays, I do think the Jets have a decent shot at covering that. But you're right. If Joe Flacco plays, he's an absolute dumpster fire. It's offensive that he's near Joe Montana and Johnny Unitas in the all-time passing yards list. We mentioned that last night in the show. Absolutely offensive. So if it's Flacco's the quarterback, give me the Bills. If Darnold's there, give me the Jets. And for the most part, staying away from this game with my hard-earned money.
And here's what I'm looking at this game too, because obviously when we talk about those they should be able to run away with this game because Miami scored 24 points and took the gas pedal completely away. Yeah. They could have went and beat them 48-0 and really sent them home. Now this is a divisional opponent. And I don't want to fire early in the week because I preface it by thinking that if Sam Darnold plays, they're going to be able to move the football. But if he doesn't, they won't. So when you take a look at some of the outlets out here, you can still get some 6.5s in the first half. There's no way in hell Joe Flacco starts this football game and the Buffalo Bills aren't up by 7+ at the end of the first half. If not, Buffalo has real problems that we didn't foresee, and it might be a long rest of the season for them. But I'm keeping in mind I have to stay off it until I get that final, Joe Flacco is the starter, because if he is, and there's 7 or less in the first half, Buffalo will boat race them by 3 touchdowns in the first half if Flacco plays. Keep an eye on that one. 465, 466. Green Bay and Houston. Looks like not a lot of defense going to be played in this one. I love Houston's offense. And Kyle and I have been talking about this for the past couple weeks. Get that lunkhead Bill O'Brien away from the Houston Texans and let Deshaun Watson operate. They were fantastic on Sunday. They were great the week before, putting up 30 spots now. Let them operate. And, Green Bay is going to bounce back. Houston's defense compared to Tampa Bay's defense, little bit of a difference here. So I think we get some points in this game. But again, we're not talking let's cover 47. We're talking about getting over the 56.5 number. But keep this in mind. People cannot get enough of Green Bay. It's a blowout. It's an easy victory for them. There's a reason why this line is 3.5 and not like the Jets, 13.5, Kyle.
Exactly. And I do think Green Bay bounces back, especially after the kind of week that Aaron Rodgers is going to have this week and all the questions he's got to answer. But Houston at home, that's another team that Deshaun Watson likes the confines there in Houston. Obviously, they're a much improved team after getting rid of, I love the lunkhead. That's hilarious to me. Bill O'Brien, that's too funny. But I just think Green Bay bounces back. I don't think that Houston defense can stop anybody. I mean, we saw it last week. Their offense kept them in it, but Aaron Jones now, it was a tough matchup last week against Tampa Bay, one of the best run-stopping teams in the league. They've got Carlton Davis. That secondary is much improved this year. And then obviously you're going up against Tom Brady. Everything just sort of fell off the rails after that first pick 6. I definitely think he bounces back this week. Another road game in Houston, 3.5. I'm down with it. I could see the argument for taking Houston absolutely at home. I think they're much improved since getting rid of Bill O'Brien. But right now, early in the week, I'm leaning the Packers to bounce back.
Yeah, it should be interesting to watch. And again, a couple guys in the chat box noted here, trying to fix the offensive line. Clinton Richardson and also Christian Larson need to see if Bakhtiari is good to go.
Sure.
That is key because he's one of the single best tackles in all of football. And you saw even last week, and you got to give Tampa Bay a lot of credit because the record isn't a perfection record for them, but they have all the makings if they can stay somewhat healthy on defense to be an elite defense the rest of the year. Green Bay is not going to see nearly that type of pass rush. Aaron Rodgers will be able to throw. We'll see if Devontae Adams finally getting a game under his belt, should be able to eat in that next football game. But again, everybody loves Green Bay early in the week. There's a reason why it's basically a field goal game here. It's not going to be that runaway that we talk about. And now that Houston is playing free with Romeo Crennel, it'll be a fun one to watch. How about another fun one to watch here? Ooh. After last night, Arizona, a real player out in the NFC West. Seattle's got that bye week to rest up and get ready. We'll see who comes back on their defense. But I'm looking at a total of 56.5 and 56. 2 quarterbacks that you can barely get a handle on. One team likes to run up tempo. And if you engage, I say this, for the past couple of years, if you engage Seattle and say, hey, you know what? We're going to run and gun and put up points. Russell Wilson's like, I'm game. What do you need? 20, 30, 40? What do you need out of me? I can certainly match you on this. This game should be a lot of fun to watch, but also you're talking about a line that opened up at 3, now sitting at 3.5, SBRodds.com, listing about 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming on Seattle. This doesn't look like so much of a runaway anymore. It's going to be a dome. Obviously, you're going to have a nice clean slate down there to run with. Not a lot of fans, if any fans, will be in the stands for this game. So you should get a clean appearance from both of these offenses. 56 is a lot of points, but you're going to have a lot of big plays in this game, Kyle.
Yeah, we might. Now, if you look at the last couple of years, Russell Wilson against Arizona, not necessarily the case. Arizona, for some reason, shows
That's
up
their
and
number.
plays, and yeah, just sort of has the number. I think his fantasy points last year were 14 and 11 on DraftKings, something like that. Like, not these huge games that you would expect. And Patrick Peterson should be able to give DK Metcalf a little bit of trouble out on the perimeter. We saw Byron Murphy look really good in the slot last night against Cooper and CD Lamb. Look, I've bet against Seattle a couple times this year. I actually bet on them once, and they let me down against Minnesota, not covering there. They're always close games with Russell Wilson. Kyler Murray looks amazing. You are worried about Seattle coming off the bye week and Arizona, of course, the short week coming off of Monday Night Football. But I think I'm going the other way right now. I'm starting to lean the home underdog in Arizona. I think they find a way to get it done. I think they can get just enough out of the ground game to keep them honest. And that Seattle secondary can't stop anyone. It wasn't even a big game from DeAndre Hopkins last night. He had the one big play at the end of the game, and they were still beating the brakes off of Dallas. The Seattle secondary is really, really bad. They have been getting torched. Now, if Jamal Adams is able to return, that would be a big addition for them, and I might start to think a little bit differently. But especially if Jamal Adams misses again, I'm taking the points with Arizona. It wouldn't shock me if Seattle wins the game by 1 point, 2 points, but I don't think this is a touchdown differential at all in this game. I like the Cardinals.
All right, I'm going to play a scenario out for you. Ready? There's 2 minutes and 12 seconds to go. Seattle gets the ball on their own 15-yard line, and they are down 3, and you're sitting there getting the 3.5 on the opposite side. Shut the TV off, tear up your ticket, put it in the trash, and don't watch the game again because Big Russ is punching that touchdown in. But that's a great game to watch, 4 or 5 p.m. Let's keep moving here on the East Coast. 4:25 game. Off the schneid, San Francisco, they looked fantastic in the first half versus the Rams. A good Rams team on offense and both defense put up 3 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert goes out with an injury after getting 60 yards in the first half. And it looked like, and again, Kyle Shanahan does this a lot. I mean, Kyle, you're a 49ers fan. How many times do we see he says, you know what? I think we have enough points to win this game. I'm not going to let Jimmy G lose the game. And you just grind it out the rest of the way. They don't care about the total. They don't care about the spread. They just want to get the victory in the NFL. And that's what took place last week, where they just took their foot off the gas, scored 3 points late in the fourth quarter, and said, you know what, we're good to go. We're going to walk away. Now you're going to come into a game with the New England team that's really struggling on offense as well. The explosivity on both offenses is going to be down because when you see that running game, Mostert just looks like a track athlete when he gets that sweep play. Can take it to the distance, but certainly runs with power as well. You take that away, and they lose a lot. George Kittle, to me, is the best overall tight end in football. He's going to eat this weekend. Yes, Deebo Samuel's tough as it comes, catching the ball or running the football. Ayuk, the young wide receiver, I like what they have going on, but it's just something is missing without that speed running game that you even saw last year. Like, just give me Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert. They're going to bust long runs just like it's a big play. Hey, 3rd and 6, we'll hand it off. We'll get 60 yards. We've seen that out of the 49ers. I look for a tough, hard-fought game. 45 seems just about right in this one. I hated what I saw out of the New England Patriots. Now, look, you see what Bill Belichick is saying, right, Kyle? Hey, we haven't practiced a lot. This is what's going to – we have a new quarterback. He was on the COVID list. He couldn't practice. The rest of the team was quarantined. We could barely open up the facility, and this is what we get on Sunday, a 12-point effort. I don't see a lot of points in this game, so I lean under 45 early in the week here.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. And Mostert, I'm glad you brought up Raheem Mostert because he is so critical to what the 49ers do on offense. When he gets the ball, good things happen. It's 6 yards. It's 10 yards every time. You rarely see him lose yardage. He's their best short yardage back as well. He's good out of the backfield. And you kind of saw how limited the offense looked when he was gone, when they were relying on Jerick McKinnon. So there is some concern there. Then you flip, and then you've got, the West Coast team going to the East Coast, playing in Foxborough. Luckily, it's the afternoon game, so a little bit more to prepare for there. This game scares the bejesus out of me. I've seen that in the thing there. We're all down on New England after embarrassing themselves against a terrible Denver Broncos team. The 49ers show up and win at home against the Rams. I still like my 49ers. They've actually played well on the East Coast this year, even with injuries. We saw Nick Mullins against the Giants and the Jets. Now it's obviously different competition. I just don't know if that Patriots offense, despite the injuries on the 49ers defense, have enough. It fits for the 49ers. Their secondary's beat up. They can guard the Patriots wide receivers, Edelman and Harry, and it's not a scary matchup for them on the outside. It's not a Woods and a Cooper Kupp. Like they faced last week. It's not a Devontae Parker, et cetera, that they faced with Miami the week before. So I think the 49ers defense matches up well with the Patriots offense and vice versa. I think the Patriots defense does as well. More explosive players on that 49ers offense with Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. If Mostert is there, I feel a lot better about this pick. So hopefully he'll be able to play. It looked like he tried to give it a go, and then they just pulled him out. Didn't feel right. Right now I'm leaning the 49ers, and I'm with you. I kind of like the under. This feels like one of these, sort of 23-16, 23-17 type of games.
No, it really does. Slugfest there. And taking a look at, again, the same preface. I look at Kyle Shanahan, who I love as a play caller, one of the best scripted guys out there. You saw the first drive with Mostert in the game. They ripped right down the field on a really good Rams offense. We'll see if they'll be able to do that this week. But I just feel like it's one of those games where either one of these teams is going to be like, bend but don't break. Let the other team make a mistake, and we'll try to capitalize. Because, again, last week, New England didn't even give up a touchdown. All field goals by the Broncos was enough to beat them. So it doesn't really get into that track meet type of situation. How about this one? Our first weather game, it looks like, coming up this week. 471, 472, 4:25 p.m. Kansas City and Denver. Drew Lock going to get a chance to go up against that all-world team. That Kansas City, Mahomes was awesome. When you needed him the most yesterday in that final drive to kill the clock, amazing third down conversions, brought him down the field to take the game from 6-9. It's just what he's doing. He's that talented. But now we take a look at this. If I'm saying this correctly, foggy and 23 degrees at kickoff in Denver for Sunday. So now you get one of those weather equations where it's cold. You're going to have to run the football. We'll see if Melvin Gordon, who was supposedly sick/hungover last week, is able to play a matchup with him and Phillip Lindsay. But I mean, we're going against Kansas City, but I like the way Denver played. Can they slow down Kansas City's offense? But the question is, can Denver answer the bell and score some points on Kansas City? Should be an interesting one. I'm going to watch the weather, but how about this? We're used to seeing 60s, 70s, and 80 degrees. A 20-degree kickoff already? Interesting.
Yeah, I'm watching that weather. That weather's a big factor. Foggy and 20 degrees, you're just smashing the under on this, right? And I know the Denver defense looked good last week against the Patriots offense, but they're actually a pretty banged-up defense. Hadn't been all great this year until, of course, they embarrassed the Patriots. I'm seeing some 9.5s. I guess I could get there with Kansas City. Right now, I'm just leaning the under. I'm glad you mentioned the weather scenario. This is one where I'm just looking at the points and looking at the weather. Not sure that Denver's offense can keep up with that. Kansas City defense is playing really well. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I know they had that sort of slip up against the Raiders, but now Bashaud Breeland's back. They're getting healthier. They looked good yesterday against Buffalo in another sort of weather type of game there in Buffalo. It was rainy and foggy in that game as well. It's a tough one. I don't like those double-digit spreads in divisional games on the road. It's just not something that is a big money maker for me historically. So I'm just going to lean the under on this and keep an eye on the weather all week.
How about this, Kyle? Saturday in Denver, 68 degrees at the start of the day. By the time it gets close to midnight, it drops to 24 degrees. The high is 27 on Sunday with a low of 15 and snow showers. Can you imagine being out in a T-shirt and, relaxing on a Saturday and then being bundled up and getting some snow showers and a low of 15 degrees? That is a wild swing where if you're a totals guy, you're like, hey, man, move that 68 to Sunday and let's let things rip. But it's always interesting to see how that weather plays into it. Something to certainly keep an eye on. And we're going in rotation order, so we'll talk about the Sunday night football game. Tampa Bay and Las Vegas opens up at 3. Now we're seeing some 2.5s across the board, over under of 53.5. And the first thing most people look at is, hey, Tampa Bay scored a lot, and hey, we know the Raiders defense stinks, and you should get points in this game. I'm no longer looking at Tampa Bay as a point-scoring team, not because of the offense, but that defense gets after you. What Kansas City couldn't do to Las Vegas was get into the backfield and get after Derek Carr. That Tampa Bay defense will pressure Derek Carr, and if we know anything about Derek Carr, which was surprising against the Chiefs, he was taking shots downfield. He loves to dink and dunk, get sacked, and turn the football over. Doesn't look too sharp. Looks like a sharp play, right? Las Vegas with the 2.5 here, but I know the public's going to load up on Tampa Bay. I'm going to wait to see how this game plays out, but it's a really good Sunday night football game. One of those big splits we'll have where, hey, did you see Tampa Bay crush Green Bay? Of course they're going to beat Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at right now, and you would think that they would. It seems too easy, though, right? It absolutely seems too easy. It was sort of like the Vikings and the Falcons last week. We started to talk about that, like, okay, wait a second, this feels a little too easy, and it was a trap, and this very well could be, but man, that Tampa Bay defense is really rounding the corner and becoming one of the better defenses in the league. Now that secondary is tightened up, you absolutely can't run the football on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're just a brick wall up front. And that's the major strength of the Raiders, getting Josh Jacobs going, play action passing, and then working the ball down the field or over the middle to Darren Waller. I don't see that happening against this Tampa Bay defense. And I don't think the Raiders defense is anything to write home about either. So to me, the line seems too short. Now, that could be a trap, but right now, for me, it's one of the easier plays that I'm looking at next week. I like Tampa Bay, especially the 2.5s I'm seeing out there. Come on, give me the Bucks by 2.5.
477, 478, a 1 o'clock game and a great one. Pittsburgh and Tennessee, yeah. Roethlisberger and Tannehill. You're talking about two quarterbacks playing elite football right now. Some great weapons that they have to deal with. Just take a look at Tennessee, who really gets hurt this week with Taylor Lewan going down with an ACL injury. And this is the week that you probably don't want to have your best left tackle or best overall offensive lineman going down. But when you take a look at the skill positions, just based on like Pro Football Focus, 120 wide receivers they have graded. Brown is 17th. Humphreys is 23rd. Davis is 11th. And out of 67 tight ends, Smith is 3rd overall. How about the quarterback Ryan Tannehill out of 36 quarterbacks graded in the NFL? He's 4th. How about Derrick Henry at running back, 6th? They are coming with some serious weaponry in this game. Looking at the over-under 51.5, 52, you would think that maybe the Pittsburgh defense will be able to slow them down. I don't know. They're playing at such an elite level on offense at all levels. You want to stop the run game, elite wideouts. You want to take away the wideouts, my tight end's running right down the field. You want to drop back in coverage and have your two safeties deep. We're going to run Derrick Henry at you. And we want to use play fakes. Ryan Tannehill can get out of the pocket and run himself. I am so impressed with what Tennessee is doing. Now, it is a step up in competition defensively this week as opposed to what they saw from Houston. But I think both of these teams can put up points. Looking at that 50 number, waiting on maybe some weather conditions to take a look at for Tennessee this weekend, I think we get some points here. But I got to tell you, I don't know if it's not a Pittsburgh bias that I have, because I do think they're a really good football team. But Tennessee at home getting points just sticks out to me right now.
Yeah, an undefeated team at home who's just been red hot and scoring on everybody. And we've sort of seen the Pittsburgh defense be vulnerable. They looked great last week, obviously, against Cleveland. But we saw the week before the Philadelphia Eagles, with all of their injuries, they did have Miles Sanders healthy in that game, were able to put up points on this team. Now, I have ridden the Pittsburgh Steelers all year long. They have been very, very, very good to me. But when you get an undefeated team as hot as the Titans are, as underdogs at home, I think you take the points. I mean, that's just a smart play. I don't think you're crazy for taking Pittsburgh. In my mind, could change. The Taylor Lewan injury I'm glad you brought that up, is a big one on that offensive line, because what do the Steelers do? They get after the quarterback. They force you to make quick decisions, and then Minka Fitzpatrick and Joe Hayden, etc., snap on the ball, and boom, you have a pick six going the other way. But that Tennessee offense looks really, really good. Now, the real problem is that Tennessee defense is terrible. So they're lucky this game is on as a road game for Ben Roethlisberger, because we've talked about it a lot. He's much sharper and more effective during his career at home than he is on the road. So that's a big advantage for Tennessee this week, because that defense, I mean, we saw Houston, they weren't stopping Houston either. That Tennessee defense is very, very susceptible to giving up points. Right now, I'll take the undefeated division leader at home and take the points, but it's really, really close. You're not crazy for taking Pittsburgh. I like the over total too. I'm glad you mentioned that at 51.5, 52.
Last game on the Sunday card, 479, 480, Jacksonville and the Los Angeles Chargers coming off a bye week here. Gardner Minshew goes on the road, and everybody, as I said, eats against that Jacksonville defense, and I don't think it's going to slow down even with a rookie quarterback and Austin Eckler still being out. I think they'll be able to take some shots downfield, big game maybe out of Keenan Allen, but also keep in mind the defense that hasn't looked all that good for the Chargers, getting some help back this week. Melvin Ingram returns off of IR to come back at defensive end, and if you've watched football over the past couple of years, Bosa and Ingram collapsing the pocket, there is no need to blitz, and Minshew will be running for his life, but that also can create big plays both ways. Sack, strip, fumbles, interceptions, but also pushing the football downfield. And we know he's athletic enough to get away from the pass rush. 7 seems like a high number, but again, I don't see many stops out of Jacksonville, where now I think the Chargers will be rested and ready to be able to get after it. We'll see if DJ Chark can come back. Some of those weapons on the outside can do some damage. I look at that 49.5, and I think it's a decent shot. Why? Because I think the Chargers can approach 30 points in this game.
Yeah, the Jacksonville's done. And I like some of their offensive weapons. I'm a big fan of Minshew. He's a lot of fun to watch. I like DJ Chark, Keelan Cole, James Robinson, the undrafted free agent running back. I really like him as well. But you mentioned it, Melvin Ingram coming back makes this Chargers defense very, very good. We've seen them we've seen some highs with this team. We saw them play very, very tough against Mahomes and the Chiefs. Then we saw them sort of fall apart in the second half against Tampa Bay. I think they get things right this week. No way I can bet on Gardner Minshew on the road, even though there will be no fans there in LA. There's absolutely no way I can do it. They have looked absolutely terrible. They just have. The Jacksonville Jaguars have looked absolutely terrible. They were busted up last week at home by Detroit, which luckily we were on that one. But I don't love the 7 number. I'm right there with you. That 7.5 scares me a little bit. But right now, I'm still inclined to take the Chargers. I'm a little nervous on the over because I just don't know can Jacksonville get into the 20s? I need to know, can they get 3 touchdowns? Because what has it been the last couple weeks? 14, 13, 16. Getting tired of seeing that from that Jacksonville offense. If they get into the 20s, absolutely the Chargers get there. Herbert's throwing the ball up and down the field. Josh Kelly, Justin Jackson are playing really well at the backfield. Hunter Henry's finally back to full strength, end of last year to this year. So I like that Chargers offense. I like the Chargers to win this game. Scared about the points, but I'll still lean the Chargers early on.
Yeah, and it just comes down to, like, when you look at defenses, right? Jacksonville gets stops to me because they just got lucky and you missed a wide open guy. Yeah. I trust the Chargers defense much more, and I certainly trust the Chargers offense more than I do Jacksonville at this point. Bad loss last week for the Jaguars. We'll see what the Chargers come out with. Monday Night Football, good game here. Interesting one, too. The Chicago Bears go on the road to play the Los Angeles Rams. So you get back-to-back games out there in L.A. this weekend. It's about 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the Bears, and a lot of money coming in, but that line opened up at 5.5 as a favorite for the Rams. It's still 5.5 across the board. The thing I'm going to have to weigh this week in order to take the game, because I am leaning the Rams early in the week here, but the one thing that we've seen out of Jared Goff, if you can get organic pressure on him, he really struggles. And what better team to get organic pressure than the front 4 from the Chicago Bears? Now, counterpoint with that, we know the Chicago offense is functional, but they're also going to get some push up the middle from Aaron Donald. You know that defense is going to be ripping ready to go after a bad performance against the 49ers. The thing I worry about with Chicago is, can they score enough points in this game? I don't think the Chicago Bears are going to put up 24 points against the Los Angeles Rams. I just don't think that's the case. So if I think the Rams are going to win this football game, they will be in the 20s, even against a stingy Bears defense. That wasn't a very good performance out of Carolina on Sunday. The Bears sort of just floated to a victory. I don't think that's going to be the case. I look for the Rams to win by 7, but I got to weigh the consequences of, oh my goodness, I'm getting bad Jared Goff this week. Why did I bet on him? I don't want that to be the case, but I am leaning Rams early in the week. How about you?
Yeah, I'm leaning the Rams as well, and I'll preface this by saying Chicago's another team I've gotten burned betting against, and when I've bet on the Bears, I've done well. So that's just one of those things that's happened this year. But you're right, especially after a Sunday night game where he didn't just get out-coached. Sean McVay didn't get out-coached by his very close friend in Kyle Shanahan. The team just looked awful. Now you get a little extra time going into Monday Night Football. I think they bounce back at home, and you're right, that Bears offense is going to struggle. There's not great matchups for them. If you got Jalen Ramsey shadowing Allen Robinson, now you're going to have to rely on Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller and
Cole
Kmet. I mean, get out of here with that. So I think it's just tough sledding for that Chicago offense this week against that Rams defense. A fired up Rams team. Really, if they have division title hopes, they need to win this football game. They can't go 3 games or continue to be 2 games behind Seattle, whatever, after whatever happens in that Arizona game. So I like the Rams at home. I think a touchdown is just about right. That total of 46, that's the one staring me right in the number. And now lately, when you see a 46, you're like, oh, it's Christmas, finally a game, not in the 50s, and you want to take it.
Yeah.
Just wonder, can the Bears offense get, into those low 20s? A 28-20 game makes kind of a lot of sense to me. So slightly, but I feel like it's going to be a sweat. You're going to be gripping your seat.
I'll tell you what makes even more sense here. 270 people watching the NFL on Tuesday, talking football with us right here on sportsbookreview.com. Thank you. That chat box has been absolutely awesome today once again. Yeah. We will return again on Thursday. Kelsey Kramer will be back. We'll go over some Pick 6 contests. We'll sharpen our pencils for that game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Football Giants and sort of get that table set for Sunday NFL action when me and Kyle come live at 12 p.m. on Sundays to bring you the closing line as opposed to today being the opening line. Thank you guys for sticking around watching the show. A lot of good football information. Hopefully you guys come up with some strategies for us on Thursdays. Give out some of those bets in the chat box, and we will certainly rock and roll and have some fun with you guys. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Kyle Purviance. We are sportsbookreview.com, and this was your opening line show for Week 7 in the NFL.